The Rock has officially returned to WWE, coming out to interrupt the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes and the original Tribal Chief Roman Reigns' victory at WWE Bad Blood tonight, and in doing so, teasing a major match for WrestleMania 41. We also have exclusive fan-captured footage of a beatdown that took place after WWE Bad Blood was over on Cody Rhodes that came from the one, the only Kevin Owens. To see that footage, we'll just get into that a little bit later. But first, we got to talk about Bad Blood, The Rock, and all of that. Be sure to smash that thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. The Rock is back. We had heard that there were rumors he was supposed to be around the Atlanta area visiting a high school, and now we know that not only was he there to visit a high school, he was there because he was going to make an impact on tonight's pay-per-view after Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes had defeated the new bloodline Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, running off the likes of Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, who were trying to interfere, and a returning Jimmy Uso, who aligned himself once again with his cousin, Roman Reigns. After we thought it was all over, after we thought that the fanfare, all of that was over, the pay-per-view was ending, The Rock comes out. And the ovation, as someone who was there live in Atlanta, I just got back to my hotel room as of this recording. As someone who was there, it was a monster pop. People lost their minds. Many people who were running up the stairs to try to beat traffic out. Many people who were leaving the arena because they thought the show was over. They came running back when The Rock's music played, and everyone lost their mind. It was nuts. Of course, again, we knew that this was a possibility, but by doing so, and I am coming to learn right now that The Rock apparently went live on Instagram. We'll have to update you guys on that in a different video, but it was clear that he was making a statement, because in that moment, Roman Reigns had looked to Cody, and he had looked to that WWE Championship in the moments following the match. And as he's doing that, The Rock comes out. By the way, having his People's Championship that was gifted to him last year at the WWE Hall of Fame over his shoulder, it seemed to be making a statement that if you want to be the real champ, you got to beat the People's Champ. And I think that's kind of what they're going for here. And Cody, at the Pat McAfee interview earlier this week, stated that there would be major championship implications based on what happened at Bad Blood. And I believe that the championship implications that he's talking about, that he's referring to, is a match between himself, The Rock, and Roman Reigns. I think it was made clear that these three men, who, given what happened a couple of months ago leading into WrestleMania, will forever be intertwined. These three men are going to put on the biggest WrestleMania match possible. And, it also in a weird way would kind of put to rest this talk of it should be Cody versus The Rock. It should be Roman versus The Rock. Well, why not have all three? Why not have all three? Cody versus Roman was your biggest main event of Mania to date, as far as being a draw. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm not saying whatever, but as far as being a draw, it was clearly the biggest, and it was getting the most fan interest. Now, if you add The Rock to that equation, not only would you be running that back, but you would be giving people three dynamics that people want to see. People want to see a dynamic between Roman and Cody. People want to see definitely that dynamic play out between Cody and The Rock, because there were many arguments being made going into Mania last year that Cody versus The Rock should be the real main event. And then you also want to see the OTC, Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns. Is he going to be able to keep up with The Rock? Which is, again, a question that people have. And how is the dynamic from that spear that he delivered The Rock last year in their tag team match at Mania? How is that going to play out? There are so many things that are going to happen over the next couple of months that I think are going to make fans very happy. But anytime The Rock is there, anytime he's, cutting a promo, apparently he crashed out hard in that Instagram live he did. I have to go check that out after this. But we do have another video that we got to show in just a second. But I do believe that that's the direction they're going in. I think there's going to be a triple threat Mania, and I think that, man, if you thought Mania tickets are expensive now, you just wait until they make this match official, man. WrestleMania in Vegas is setting up to be one of the biggest wrestling events we've ever seen. Now, going from this to something that happened after the match, and then I promise we will talk about the actual pay-per-view, because there were other matches, and if you ask me, this wasn't the best thing on the show, because that was the Hell in a Cell match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. But we do have to talk about something real quick that happened after the show, and this is where we're talking about the footage. There was fan-captured footage of a confrontation between Kevin Owens and the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. Now, of course, Kevin Owens and Cody have been embroiled into a friendship, but now they've had a lot of tension recently. Owens has been teasing turning on Cody. He has yet to do it, but it looks like he just did. Here is the footage that was captured by fans. I'm going to link to the original fan who captured this in the description, but here it is.
What? Oh, fuck! Kevin, no! Kevin!
Calm down!
Kevin, what the fuck are you doing?
You can't do that!
Kevin!
Kevin, what the fuck are you doing is right. I mean, that was... It is crazy. I literally got back to my hotel, and like as I sit down, I'm like, originally the first thing I did was like I lay down on my bed because I was like, oof, I'm tired. Chanting, doing all the stuff that you normally do at a wrestling show. You get tired a little bit. It happens. But to come back and not only see that, okay, The Rock cut like a 6-7 minute promo or whatever it was on IG Live, but then also that Cody Rhodes was attacked by Kevin Owens. An insane thing to come back to, and I think that this was a deliberate action on WWE's part. Right now, this pay-per-view has a lot of hype coming out of it, obviously because of The Rock, and I think what they wanted to do was capture that momentum. They wanted to be able to take advantage of the interest in Bad Blood. Bad Blood right now is like one of the biggest trends in the world outside of the UFC, which is also having a pay-per-view right now. But they're one of the biggest trends in the world right now. And if you look up Bad Blood, what does WWE want to see come up? They want to see something that is going to not only, gauge fans' interest, which The Rock will, but also progress storylines that will go into next week, because we don't know if The Rock is actually going to be around on SmackDown. We don't know if The Rock is going to be around on Raw for the next couple of weeks to come, but we know Kevin Owens will. We know Cody Rhodes will. And I think if we just go back and quickly like look at the way things played out, right? Like we'll do a little play-by-play. It seems like they're having like some sort of disagreement. They're having an argument. Kevin Owens, gets a little bit in his face, and then Cody, who has always been playing this role of trying to mitigate the risk, mitigate the the impact of what's happening, and play mediator, tries to mediate with him, and Owens just snaps right there. That is very clear. I just realized I wasn't showing the footage. My bad. You guys just got the Hell in a Cell. But regardless, I mean, it was very clear that Cody Rhodes was trying to play the mediator, and then Kevin Owens just snapped on him. One thing that in storyline is worth taking note of is Cody Rhodes still has not explained exactly why he decided to team with Roman. And he has not explained it really to the fans. He has not explained it to even Roman. Like, it was kind of a weird, like, back and forth with them when you go back and think about it. Like, the promo they did at Georgia Tech Field was really cool, but in a weird way, it didn't really make sense because we don't know why they're teaming in the first place. But the thing with Owens is, I think, of anyone who like deserves an answer, right? Of all the people who deserves an answer, I think Kevin Owens deserves an answer the most. There's not been anyone on that entire roster who has been more screwed over more times than Kevin Owens has been by the Bloodline. The Bloodline have screwed over Sami Zayn. They've screwed over Cody Rhodes. They've screwed over many people over the last couple of years. But Kevin Owens arguably should have like 3 extra reigns as world champion because he's had Roman Reigns beat on many occasions. And if it wasn't for Bloodline interference, Owens would have been the champion at those points. So in Owens' mind, right, he sees Cody, someone he's supposed to trust, someone he's supposed to see as a friend, someone who, also beat him, which is in the background of all this, right? Like, as all this is playing out, as Cody is siding with Roman, as Cody is, reaching out to Roman, giving him a helping hand. In the background of all this, Owens also has a lot of resentment towards Cody because he got beat by the guy. And he got beat by the guy at, the biggest, as far as money goes, WWE arena gate of all time at Bash in Berlin. That's got to do something to the character of Kevin Owens, where it's like, man, it's not only that you betrayed me, but you beat me. Like, it's like a double kind of domino effect there. So interesting stuff there. We will certainly see where this goes, but I know where this video is going to go. We're going to get into all the wonderful stuff. There we go. That's the correct. Now I'm pulling it up at the correct time. But we're going to get into the stuff, all the things that went down at WWE Bad Blood. This was a fun pay-per-view. Background for me on this pay-per-view. So I have bought tickets for Atlanta, like non-refundable plane tickets to Atlanta. Never do that, guys. A couple of weeks ago. And originally it was supposed to be a few of us coming out. That didn't end up happening. But I still had the non-refundable tickets. So I was like, I'm not going to not go to Atlanta. But the tickets for this show were insane. They were out of this world expensive. It was like $600 to sit in the lower bowl. And it was kind of crazy. I did not buy my tickets until like 4:30, and I'm not going to say how much I paid, but I got a very good deal. On these tickets. But anyway, guys, if you guys want to get a good deal on tickets, you guys can use my promo code for SeatGeek. Get $20 off your first purchase using the promo code RealTake. Details, all that stuff is in the description below. All right. Enough of me shilling. Let's talk about this pay-per-view. The pandemonium was, electric to begin the show because we knew that it was going to be CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, arguably WWE's best-built feud of the entire year, arguably WWE's most important feud outside of the lead-up to Mania, and a feud that, in my opinion, deserved to main event tonight. These two went out there, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, beat the ever-living crap out of each other. We saw a return of the feeling of what Hell in a Cell is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a pay-per-view that happens, and it's not supposed to be like this like capitalistic like kind of event that you just churn out because it's a check off of like your list or whatever. It's supposed to be the culmination of months, potentially years of storytelling. It's supposed to be a breaking point. We have two wrestlers who can no longer be confined in a regular match, who can no longer settle their differences in, whether it be like outside of the ring, inside the ring. It needs to be in a cage. It needs to be in the most evil structure, a structure designed to punish the human body, which is what Hell in a Cell is. So I thought this was very much in the spirit of the match. By far the best thing on the show, and that is The Rock's return included. The Rock's return was a fantastic moment, but this was the best thing on the show. You're talking about being captivated, the storytelling in this match, outside of one wrinkle at the end, which I will talk about, I thought was amazing. You had the return of blood in WWE in a Hell in a Cell match for the first time in a very long time. And this was not, like, oh man, he got Hardaway. This was like they bladed. Punk had a gasher on his forehead from blading, by the way. Both Punk and McIntyre got color, which I think could be a sign of things to come. And I don't think you're going to see blood on every pay-per-view for WWE, but I think for the big ones, when it matters, you are going to see it. And I think for the big feuds that matter, you will see it as well. So both of them got color. There was an insane spot where CM Punk got suplexed from the turnbuckle to the outside through a table. And McIntyre seemed to have hurt his back on that one. He was selling that a little bit. He brings some stairs into the ring. They clobber each other. CM Punk takes like the part of the broken table and pushes it into McIntyre's eye. There was some insanely grotesque violence that took place during this match, and it was very fitting of the ending of this feud. You know, at one point, McIntyre was going for a Claymore kick, and he got reversed into an Anaconda Vice. Then McIntyre hits Claymore. It garners a 2. False finish after false finish after false finish. McIntyre kicks out of the GTS, and we get the go-home spot where, with the crowd going insane, because this was, again, probably the most heat that anything had on the show outside of The Rock coming back. McIntyre had Punk beat. Punk kicks out, and McIntyre then goes under the ring, and he gets something. And I'm thinking it's like a bag, right? I'm thinking, okay, there's like thumbtacks in there. There's something else, because we're all conditioned to think it's thumbtacks. It was beads. McIntyre brought out a bag of beads because CM Punk has a friendship bracelet that they've been fighting over for the past couple of months. And he just puts beads on Punk. Happy Mardi Gras. Anyway, so the beads happen. That leads to McIntyre missing a Claymore kick, and then he had brought some stairs into the ring, and McIntyre eventually hit his back right on the edge of the stairs. It was a Darby Allin-ish spot. Yeah, that thing had to have hurt a lot. So that happens. McIntyre then is prone to CM Punk, who takes a chain, wraps it around his leg, hits the GTS on McIntyre. 1, 2, 3. CM Punk walks away from this feud, walks away from Bad Blood, barely walks away in general as the victor. After the match, you could tell Punk was gassed. I mean, there was a spot in the match where he had a sharpshooter, and he just could not put it in. It was very obvious that he was gassed. That being said, this was a fantastic match. This is genuinely one of the best matches that WWE's put on the entire year. And that's saying a lot. You've had some insane matches. You had Sammy versus Gunther at WrestleMania. You had Gunther versus Damian Priest at SummerSlam. Like some insane Bayley versus Io Sky. So this is right up there. I would argue, for now, I would have to go back and watch it on the PL League stream, because I only watch it live. But I would argue it's right up there. It might even be a top 10 match of the year in general. But so ends the Ballad of Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk. I stand by this. This match should have main evented the show. I think there's even an argument to be made. You could have had The Rock return and had Cody and Roman do their tag team match at the beginning of the show, and The Rock's return at the beginning would have garnered a lot more interest in the pay-per-view in general. And I think you would have seen people tuning in to see, oh my God, is The Rock going to do something else? Is it going to come back? And then you could have had The Rock come back for do his entire Instagram live promo sometime later on in the show. But that's not what happened. It is what it is. I still think the show was great. I just think this should have ended the show. This shot of CM Punk victorious should have ended the show. And look, it's 13 years later? And Punk is still Punk was right. Punk was right. Dwayne is main eventing. still the pipe bomb. It all comes back to the pipe bomb. It always all comes back to the pipe bomb with CM Punk, because at the end of the day, Punk deserved the main event. Punk, you could argue, earned the main event, and they went out there and had the best match on the show. And Dwayne is still the main event. Wrestling, baby. Speaking of wrestling, we also had the WWE Women's Championship on the line. Nia Jax versus Bayley. This match had a good amount of heat. I thought this was a very good match, very well-worked match. The spot they were always working towards, obviously, was Nia Jax hitting her move off the top rope. And the interesting dynamic was going to be, Tiffy. What is Tiffany Stratton going to do? Obviously, she's Miss Money in the Bank. It's Tiffy in the Bank. Tiffy time. So that was always the big question there. And we ended up seeing Tiffany Stratton come back out during the match. And while Bayley was prone, but also while Nia Jax was prone, she looks to the referee. She just about hands the referee the Money in the Bank briefcase. And then Nia Jax gets up, looks her dead in the eye, and said, "What the hell are you doing?" Fantastic spot there. Nia Jax was able to pick up the victory, and she ended the match staring a hole through Tiffany Stratton, who looked like she's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, friend." They're definitely building up Tiffany Stratton to be the one to take the belt off of Nia Jax, it would seem. At least that's how I see it. Another thing we saw, unfortunately, was an announcement. So Triple H announced at the next pay-per-view, which is Saudi Blood Money 84, whatever you want to call it, there's going to be a match between the WWE Champion and the World Heavyweight Champion to crown the Crown Jewel Champion. It's a very confusing thing. So it's essentially an exhibition match to find out who is the real champion of WWE. Neither of their belts are on the line, so it would be Gunther versus Cody at Crown Jewel, which is next month. But neither belt would be on the line. It would be for this like prize of like, you know, the Crown Jewel of WWE, whatever. It's going to be a Saudi show, so I'm not going to watch it. Sorry, guys. I'm just not going to watch it. Not going to cover it like that. But interesting thing here. We saw Gunther, who had a segment with Bret Hart earlier this month, or last month, I should say, where he had said that Bret Hart, you know, does a lot of complaining about Goldberg, but, you know, and he's a good wrestler, but he's not as good as Goldberg. But then Gunther, of course, they're in Atlanta, Goldberg's hometown, so he had to get one up on Goldberg, and he said, you know, I lied, Goldberg. You're not actually that good. You had like a, what was it? He was like, you were a one-hit wonder, is what he called him, which garnered a lot of cheers. My section was booing the hell out of this because they hate Goldberg. Very much my vibe, too. Anyway, Goldberg then comes out, and I go, oh my God, please don't let them book this old-ass man against Gunther. And for God's sakes, don't book this old-ass man to beat Gunther. I don't know what I would do. I'd probably stop watching WWE if that happened. Introspective moment there. Anyway, but Goldberg tries to rush the ring. Security keeps him back. Sami Zayn then comes out and attacks Gunther. They, of course, have a match on Monday Night Raw for the World Championship, so they're doing a little bit of work to build that up as well. Then move on to Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. Very standard match. Nothing to really put this apart from as a pay-per-view match. I thought, you know, it was a good match. I thought it was a very good like TV show match, and that's not like me trying to be like incendiary or derogatory. It's just the truth. They were like building to shenanigans with Carlito and JD McDonough. They did their shenanigans, and then Priest was able to overcome. Yeah, that's all I got on this match. I'm sorry, guys. That was quick. Interesting stuff here. So we had the Women's World Championship on the line. Champion Liv Morgan defending against Rhea Ripley with poor Dominic Mysterio on a cage. This was like my one. Actually, this was the funniest thing on the show by far. Dominic Mysterio is like suspended in this cage, right? And I love the WWE finally like did the graphic Dominic on a ladder match. Like this is the closest we're gonna get to that Dominic on a ladder match. It's been like what 20 years in the making nearly. But we get Dominic Mysterio suspended in a cage. At one point, he's able to get the door open while they're fighting, and he trips and he falls, and this dude is like hanging upside down like Spider-Man or Darby Allin at AEW Double or Nothing earlier this year, prone to Rhea Ripley, who then takes a kendo stick and then starts beating the crap out of him like a piñata. Hilarious spot. A1 spot. Whoever thought of this, mwah, fantastic. Give them a raise. And then we got the return of Raquel Rodriguez as Michael. That's the funny thing. You guys ever notice? So her name is Raquel Rodriguez. I'm saying it just like Michael Cole But her name is like Raquel Rodriguez, and then Michael Cole's like Raquel Rodriguez. Like Michael Cole says it the funniest way. I don't know. Seriously, go listen to the way he says it. But Raquel Rodriguez comes out as Rhea Ripley is beating down Dominic Mysterio and interrupts the match, beats down Rhea. Disqualification happens. Weird stuff here because referee called for a disqualification, but then Raquel Rodriguez hits her finishing move on Rhea Ripley and puts Liv over her to try to pin her. It was a weird thing where there was like a pause. Pin should have happened, maybe not. I don't know. Regardless, Liv Morgan retains via disqualification, and it looks like there is a new heater for Liv Morgan in the Judgment Day, and her name is Raquel Rodriguez. Great. First of all, great to see Raquel Rodriguez back. Obviously, she was dealing with a medical issue, and I'm glad that she's able to come back and do like what she does, because she is a great wrestler. Like, there's no doubt about that. The question is this the right spot for her? The bigger question is, in my opinion, what does this mean for this feud? Because this feud's been going on since Mania. Granted, Rhea just returned like 2 months ago, but this feud's been going on since Mania. We've seen this match a couple of times. Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. And we're still doing it. And it seems like it's not ending. And this is a recurring trend for everything WWE. Because there's like no ending to any story in WWE. Which, look, it is fine. It is totally, totally fine to keep things, a little bit open-ended, or keep things in a way that you can return to them. That's fine. That happens. You can close a chapter. I have not seen any chapters closed in WWE. I feel like we have been doing the same thing since WrestleMania with this damn company sometimes. With the Bloodline, with Cody. Cody Rhodes is still feuding with the Bloodline. There's more Bloodline. They brought in more Bloodline members for him to feud with. I don't know. That was like the one annoying thing. Overall, though, Bad Blood. I will talk about my annoyance with WWE storylines probably on the live show at some point this week. But Bad Blood, fantastic pay-per-view. It was well worth the price of entry, at least for me. If I paid what some of these other people paid, I probably would have been way more mad about, or not mad. I mean, I would have been like still upset, like, man, I don't know if this is worth like $700 to sit wherever I sat. But regardless, fantastic pay-per-view. I thought that this, definitely was like, it felt like a very high B-tier pay-per-view. And like Bad Blood is a B-tier pay-per-view, right? It's not a big 4 or a big 5. But this felt like a very important pay-per-view. It felt like, it had one of the best matches in WWE for the year with McIntyre versus Punk. While that should have main evented, I still thought that overall, this was a great show. I really enjoyed myself. Shout out to the crowd in Atlanta. They were going ape poop for everything that happened at this show. So shout out to them. Guys, let me know what you guys thought of WWE Bad Blood 2024. Did you like it? Did you love it? Should CM Punk and Drew McIntyre have main evented? I really want to hear from you guys about that one in the comment section below, because they really should have. But let me know in the comments section. Also, be sure to smash that thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released.